Thank you, Presiding Officer, for the opportunity to say a few words on the adjournment debate. On the throne speech made by the President yesterday in this House, I'm saying throne speech because in the English version of the printed document of his speech, it actually says throne speech. The Sinhala and the Tamil don't have it. But the English says throne speech. Knowing the President as I do, he probably drafted his speech in English first. And he thought he was actually making a throne speech. Those who translated it into Sinhala and Tamil knew better than to call it anything like that. And the title says policy statement by His Excellency the President. But this betrays what the President has in mind, or what he thinks, who he is, to say throne speech. Now in this speech, the President deals with people who criticize various acts of the government, various policies, and says, but when they come into office, they continue with that. They don't act any differently. And he's criticized them quite strongly in his throne speech. But I would like to remind him that he is also doing the same thing. In 1996, it is said that the United National Party at its convention resolved to abolish the executive presidential system. And that was a position they've held on to until now, or said to be their official position. In the last parliament, when we had a constitutional assembly, when this issue of executive presidency came up, the president, who was prime minister then, quite categorically said that's the UNP stand. We are for abolition of the executive presidency. But now that he is the executive president, we don't see anything. We don't hear anything about abolishing executive presidency. In point of fact, when the 21st Amendment was passed, what was presented to the country was that the powers of the executive president are being curtailed. 20th Amendment enhanced it, 18th Amendment enhanced it, 20th Amendment enhanced it. So it was said that we are going back to the 19th Amendment. The powers of the executive presidency are being curtailed. But none of the executive powers of the president have been curtailed. I said that at the debate on the 21st Amendment also. So that was a fraud on the people, because what was presented to be the amendment did not achieve that. And the president happily carries on as the executive president with full executive powers. And although the UNP's stated policy is abolition of the executive presidency, he has made two throne speeches. He has made two throne speeches, and he has not said that he will abolish executive presidency. There is one matter that I want to deal with in the short time that I have today, and that is to do with the Tamil national question. The President has dealt with it quite categorically. He has said the right things, except one important thing which I will come to in a moment. He has dealt with, at pages 12 onwards of the English version, he He has said that he and Honorable Sampandan came to this house in 1977. Several attempts have been made to resolve this issue and not been successful. But now, he says we wish to succeed this time. He doesn't say how he wishes to succeed, except to say that several issues that he has highlighted will be dealt with, particularly that of land, military held lands. We are not satisfied with what he has said here, nor what has happened on the ground. What he has said here is that he'll have discussions with the military. And we saw that happening in Jaffna Kacheri recently when he came over. He was merely almost at the mercy of the military, asking them, are you able to release some more, almost pleading with them. He didn't behave like the executive president. But on the other issue of forests, wildlife, archaeology, etc., he dealt with the forest issue here. He says, we will go back to the 1985 map, and that is most welcome. Only question is, when will he go back to the 1985 map? It must be done immediately. That's a policy decision taken by the cabinet, and we are told that that is the policy decision of the cabinet. So it must be immediately done. You have the 1985 map. You don't need to do anything in between. You just have to go back to the 1985 map. It requires just one day. So we're waiting to see when that is going to happen. There is one just small paragraph with regard to Office of Missing Persons. This is a very serious issue. In our discussions with the President, we have told him, even the LLRC, the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission, which President Mahinda Rajapaksa appointed soon after the end of the war, that gave its report on the 31st of March 2011. Even in that report it says just over 3,000 persons were surrendered to the security forces in the last few days of the war. Your own commission, government's own commission, says, it says many were surrendered, but it says over 3,000 who were surrendered as such have gone missing. Now, how can people go missing like that in their thousands? So merely having an Office of Missing Persons, and we supported that legislation, but after that, not one single case has been investigated into to find out what happened to the person who surrendered. What happened? It's not enough to say, it's not enough to say there are no more. How did it come to that stage? If you surrender to the security forces, how can you go missing? Thereafter, he dealt with the issue of devolution of power. There are 5 issues that we identified when we had talks with the government. And I must say, in this document, in his speech, he has dealt with all those 5 matters. But with regard to the police powers, he merely says there is a short one-sentence paragraph at page 16 that says there is no change in police powers. Now, we don't understand what that means. Is he saying there's not going to be any change? The status quo will remain? Or is he saying there won't be any change to what is in the Constitution? If there is no change to what is in the Constitution, then the police powers must be devolved. So he's left it ambiguous, I suspect deliberately. The matter that I want to end with is that he says maximum devolution of power within a unitary state. You cannot have maximum devolution of power within a unitary state. The President knows that more than anyone else. The President campaigned on the platform of a federal state in 2005 when he contested for executive presidency. In the last parliament, when he was chairman of the steering committee of the Constitutional Assembly, he very specifically said that he stands for a federal state. And now he's done a somersault and he says within a unitary state with a capital U and capital S, signifying that the scheme of government will be unitary. Now and he ends by saying, I will not allow separation of the country. We are not asking for a separation of the country. We are for a united, undivided, even indivisible country. Concluding, don't divide the country, but share power in a meaningful way. Maximum devolution of power cannot happen in a unitary model, and therefore we reject this throne speech on that account alone. Thank you.